Hi, I'm Beth with 50 Plus Beauty, and I'm so glad you're here with me today to talk about Retin-A and the extras that I've used for many, many years that I think have led to my skin looking much better than it would have if I hadn't done the things. I'm 59 years old, and I just started Retin-A about 8 months ago, and I'm really loving the results of that. However, I think a lot of the things I was doing when I was much younger had a lot to do with the fact that my skin is in pretty good shape right now. First, if you're not a subscriber, I hope you will subscribe and click the little bell. That way you'll be notified of my future videos. And I do mostly videos about makeup and skincare for us 50 plus beauties. Okay, let's get down to this. The first thing I did was that for many years I used retinol products. Now, as I mentioned before, I have used the Retin-A for the past 8 months. I started on the 0.5 Retin-A in January of this year. And then recently, about a month ago, I switched to the full strength 1% Retin-A, and I'm really liking the results. And I've got links below to some of my other videos about my Retin-A progress, and you can see things about how to deal with the irritation of Retin-A, but I really think Retin-A is the big kahuna when it comes to anti-aging. But even before I did Retin-A, I had watched Dr. Oz many years ago, and I had realized that the two things that he said were most important for your skin are retinoids. Retin-A is an advanced form of a retinoid, but retinols are a milder form of that. And so what I did was I went to Amazon, and I'll put a link below. I no longer have that product since I've been using the full strength Retin-A. I used a little retinol product every single night, and I also use the alpha hydrox brand of the AHAs. The AHAs are acids that will slough off the top of your skin. So I used both of those products for many years, and I think they really helped. Another thing that totally helped me in keeping my skin at almost 60 looking much younger is the use of sunblock militantly and staying out of the sun militantly. I had a grandmother, Gigi, who has since passed, and I absolutely loved her. She was a little southern lady, and she had alabaster skin at 90 and almost had no wrinkles. And unfortunately, when I was in my very young childhood, my parents would take me out to the pool and leave me there with, of course, no sunblock in the 60s or whatever, and I would come home a little brown raisin. But by the time I was in my teenage years, my grandmother became very interested in the care of me, and she was like, "Young lady, you stay out of the sun." She said, "Do you want to look like a field hand?" And I wasn't sure exactly what a field hand looked like, but I knew it wasn't good. So from about my teenage years onward, I really started taking care of my skin in terms of staying out of the sun. As I mentioned, I was militant about it, and I think that really embarrassed my kids. Now I'm going to show you a picture of something that I used when I would garden. I actually love this thing. It's a full face sun visor, and I've got a link to it below on Amazon. I couldn't find it this morning because I've really just been staying out of the sun and wearing my sunblock. But I use that for gardening, and I would sometimes use that on walks. And I wanted to use it at my kids' soccer games, but they rebelled against that, so I wasn't allowed to use that. They said I looked like Darth Vader, which it was really weird. But I just love that full face sun protection, and I really wish that would become stylish because that is the way to protect your skin against the sun, just to do a full face visor. Second to that, I would go to my son Colin's soccer games, and I would sit under umbrellas all the time, and I would sometimes even have little gloves on my hands, and I would wear hats, and not just these little hats. To me, this is not enough of a hat because it just covers this area, and really you still are exposed to the sun everywhere else. So I would wear hats that look like this, and I have links to them below. They are full brim visor hats, and they're not super attractive. And I think I really embarrassed my kids because here was mom, no matter what I was wearing, even if these things didn't match, I would wear them, with the brimmed hats. And the neat thing about these is that they are packable. So every time you go to the beach, you just kind of take it and put it like this in your suitcase. And I really love those. It was interesting because back then at those soccer games, when I was the only woman there walking around with an umbrella and just militant about the sun, it was almost a little embarrassing. And back then, even the women who were full face out in the sun with no sunblock, we all looked about the same. But I have to say that years later, I think I'm experiencing the benefits of having stayed out of the sun and protected my skin. And now I, of course, wear sunblock every day. And I've done that since about the age of 35, I would say. I worked with a woman named Jeannie, and she said, "Do you use sunblock?" And I said, "Oh yes, on the weekends or when I'm out in sun." And I actually hate it when my other 50 plus beauties, when I hear them say that, because that is not enough sun protection. Every day we all need to be wearing sunblock, and I love this little sunblock, and it is expensive. It's the Exuviant Sheer Daily Protector in Plus 50. It is a little expensive, like $40, and I used a whole bottle, and then I thought, well, I'm gonna go cheap. So I did some research online and found a supposedly dupe product for this, and I got it, and it was greasy and horrible, and it did not work under my makeup. And so I figured I would order this again. And I looked back on Amazon, and I ordered this like in March. So I really got 4.5 months out of this product. So to me, that is worth it. You know, $10 a month for my sunblock is really a good value for me. This sunblock almost looks like a light foundation. It goes on very matte and has kind of a tan color to it. I'll show you. You do have to shake it up because otherwise you just put a bunch of oil on your face. But I absolutely love the sunblock. See, that's how it looks. It looks like a little foundation. And in fact, on a Saturday when you don't want to wear any makeup but you want sun protection, this is a great little product to use. Another way in which I protected my skin actually has to do with my hands, but I wear little driving gloves, and I have a link to these below on Amazon, and they're like $5 or something like that. And so I just put them on anytime I get in the car. In fact, I'm so used to these driving gloves that I no longer feel like I'm ready to drive unless I have them on, because you know, when we drive, we spend all of this time like this. And I just added this early this summer. Maybe I've been using this maybe about 5 months, something like that. But when you're driving around like this, you're getting intense amounts of sun exposure through your windshield. And I realized at the end of last summer that all of a sudden my hands were looking really, really old, really dry and really kind of crepey and really old. So I decided to start protecting my hands, and I really have noticed the difference. Another way that I protect the skin on my hands is when I go to the nail salon. I get shellac manicures, and that entails you putting your hands under the UV lights to dry your shellac nails. And I think there's some other procedures where you also have to get under those UV lights. And so basically what I do is I carry these in my purse at all times, and they're really grubby looking. I ordered some white cotton gloves from Amazon, and I cut out the little fingers. And my manicurist, if I forget, she'll say, hey, put on your gloves now. And so I will do that. Another thing that has helped me in terms of reducing wrinkles over the years is the use of Botox. And you know, you may not want to use Botox, and that's absolutely a personal choice, and it does cost a little money. But if you have the money and you don't mind the idea of Botox, I am convinced that it made a huge difference in my face. Now, I never use Botox anywhere except around my eyes, like right here, the crow's feet, and then on my forehead, you know, the 11s and my forehead. And when I started using Botox, I was probably 42 years old, and I had very deep wrinkles along my forehead because whenever I talked, I would raise my forehead. Well, now I can't even do it because of the Botox. Over time of using the Botox, not only did it help, you know, immediately after the wrinkles came, within 5 days of the Botox, they would all smooth out. But over time, I have lost those wrinkles entirely. Dermatologists say that Botox is preventive not only against current wrinkles, but against future wrinkles as well. And I certainly think that has been the case with me. Now, some people will use it down around their lips, and I've just never tried it down there. Anything from here up that you say doesn't look too wrinkled is probably in large part due to the Botox. And I don't use any fillers on my face right now at all. I did have a fat filler in my nasal folds maybe about 5 years ago. I really liked the look there, but I got very upset. I woke up after the fat injections, and he had actually injected my cheeks as well, which they don't look bad now, but for several years they were too filled, and I did not like them at all. I'm just a little bit leery about fillers because of that kind of negative experience I had. But I do think that over time the fat has really helped in my nasal folds. Now, another thing that I do for my lower face, you know, it's Botox for the upper face, and for my lower face, I've been using the Derma Roller. Many of you know that I use the Derma Roller on my lips about every other morning. I'll do this for a few minutes. It helps increase the collagen in my lips, but I also use the Derma Roller once a week on my lower face, especially for these nasal fold areas and basically everything down this way, you know, around here, because I was getting little divots and wrinkles down here, because it's been proven to increase collagen. And the reason I do it down here so much is I had started to get some little puffy jowls down here. I think things are really smoothing out with the use of the Derma Roller, and I really do like this. Now, another thing that I do, which I haven't told you about yet, but I shot a video about it maybe 3 months ago, and it was in my kitchen, and I've still got that video, and I may go ahead and post that one, or I may just reshoot the video. Let me know if you'd like to see a video on this. But this little thing here, and it's huge, you can hardly see it, is a wedge pillow. I'll show it to you from the side, and it looks like this, and I sleep on this every night. And the neat thing about this one is that it folds up. It folds into a little square, which makes it very easy to store, because you can imagine how difficult it would be to store a triangular shaped pillow in your room. It's hard to find a place for that. So the fact that it stores square, I just keep it over in the corner of my bedroom up by the head of my bed, and then I use it every night. And I've been using the wedge pillow maybe for about 8 months now. It does two things. First, when I use the wedge pillow, which is pretty much all the time, I sleep on my back. So I've trained myself to become a back sleeper. And that's a wonderful thing because when you sleep on your back, you're not like pressing wrinkles into your face. I noticed my father-in-law had this really strange wrinkle that went straight down his forehead, like this. And I thought, why does he have a wrinkle like this? Because, you don't have any expressions where you would end up getting a wrinkle like that. And then I realized that probably he's sleeping on his left side and that he is getting a wrinkle kind of digging itself into his forehead because of that. Having seen that, I thought, I don't want any more wrinkles on my face, so I'm going to teach myself to become a back sleeper. And in my video that I'm going to post or redo, I show you the easy way that I learned to be a back sleeper, and it's really not that hard. It just takes a few nights, 3 to 5 nights of practice, and then you can become a back sleeper. One thing that using a wedge is really great for is the bags under your eyes, because when you sleep on a wedge pillow, you're not getting the fluid buildup that you would, if you slept down flat. You basically are draining the fluid from your eyes and from your face every night, so you wake up and your face really looks nice. It hasn't been smushed on its side, and it hasn't been gathering fluid in the eyes. I noticed how effective both sleeping on the wedge pillow and being a back sleeper was recently because I went through my knee surgery, and for a while my knee was really bothering me. So I just couldn't deal with a wedge pillow. I just said, let me turn on the side and be comfortable because my knee was more comfortable that way. So I started sleeping on my side again, and immediately I started looking more wrinkled in the morning, and I woke up and I had these eye bags that would last till like 10 or 11 o'clock. And I realized, it really is great that I'm a back sleeper and that I do sleep on that wedge pillow. Another thing that I do is a little bit of facial exercise in the morning, and it's just a few little exercises. And if you'd like to see a video about that, please just make a comment below because I'd like to share those with you. But for instance, I'll just give you one of them. Okay, this is one that I do for my lower jowl area and for my under chin area, and it looks kind of funny, but I'll do it for you. Just put your mouth into an oval like this, and you tighten all this up. And then you gotta do it. Whew. And that really is a strong exercise, and it's a little hard to do. I've got several exercises that I do like that every morning, and they're easy to do and very quick. I do think that they help to give you a firmer face. Okay, the next thing that I do is I take 2 supplements, one of which is this Puritan's Pride Hydrolyzed Collagen, because I think that it always helps to give your skin the building blocks to build more collagen. And the second is a hair, skin, and nails product, and I ran out of it and by mistake threw it away. I should not do that because I should keep it for empties, and I will link it in the product descriptions below so you can see that. But I've taken a hair, skin, and nails product for years, and I think it, doesn't hurt. Okay, I'm down to the last 2 things that I do, and one of which is that I naturally have a very anti-inflammatory diet. For those of you who've seen my Hunger Monster video, you know that I used to have arthritis problems, and I used to have problems with craving food. And so to deal primarily with the arthritis problems, I went on the paleo autoimmune diet, which is a diet that, come to find out, is very anti-inflammatory. It's basically meats, preferably lean meats, vegetables, and fruits, no processed carbs, no cakes, pies, cookies, low on sugar, that kind of thing. And I have since learned, yes, it did help my arthritis go away. I have to admit, it was wonderful. It also helped me lose about 10 to 15 pounds, which was great as well. But also, I've since learned that the reason that it's so good with arthritis and other autoimmune joint swelling type issues is because it's a very anti-inflammatory diet. Now that I've gotten rid of the arthritis, I'm not totally good on that diet. I'll have a candy bar every now and then, or a creme brulee dessert, something like that. So I'm very low sugar, but I'm not totally perfect on that diet. But I do notice that when I get away from it for a few days and I start eating more of the junk, all of a sudden my face doesn't look as good anymore. It seems to get kind of a red tone, and it seems to get puffier, and really it looks more inflamed, quite honestly. So I think that diet is a really good thing. I'm going to be trying to eat a lot more fruits and vegetables, and in fact I'm going to be doing a video about that because the reason that I came upon that new goal is kind of an interesting one, I think. And the last thing that I do is I always try to have water with me. And I try to drink a lot of water. I have done this for many years. Lately though, I got kind of in the bad habit of using Crystal Light drink mix. And so instead of just drinking good old water, I was drinking all the chemicals and the artificial sweeteners in that, and I noticed that it was starting to give me a headache because I was drinking it so much. So I went back to pure water, and I really like it. And I've noticed that on the days when I drink a lot of water, the next day my skin really does look better. So here's to you. Have some water. That's the end of my extras video. Those are the extra things that I do that hopefully help keep the wrinkles down. Now, if you're not a subscriber, I hope you'll subscribe and click that little bell. That way you'll get emails about my future videos. It doesn't cost anything to subscribe, and it just keeps you in the look here on the 50 Plus Beauty channel. Now, I always like to leave you with a little thought for the day, and I use this little card deck, The Language of Letting Go. And so let's go ahead and draw a card. I'm starting to get the same cards twice, so I think I may need to find us another card deck. Let's see. Okay, let's choose this one. Oh, I happen to have this one. It's a good one. Trusting in life. Trusting in life. I like that. Today I will trust that the events occurring in my life are not random. I do believe this, ladies. My experiences aren't mistakes, and the universe, my higher power, and life are not picking on me. I'm going through exactly what I need to go through to learn something valuable, something that will prepare me for the joy and love I'm seeking. Oh my, this is so true. And it goes along with something that I learned very specifically about 5 years ago, and I'm going to end up doing a video on that because it was a very magical experience, and it involved finding an unopened box from QVC that it contained this book, which was crazy amazing, and opening it and realizing that this book kind of held the key to a lot of life. The main ideas in that book was that God doesn't give bad gifts, and that things that happen to us, even that seem negative, we need to pray thanks, because then God can open the door for the blessings to flow in and can show us the lessons that we need to learn, or open the door for the blessings to flow in from that particular event. And in the first half of my life, I would get all bent out of shape when something seemingly negative happened, and I would fight against it. I would plot and scheme and try to deal with it. But in the second half of life, even though it's hard initially when something seemingly negative happens, I try to remember that God doesn't give bad gifts, and I pray thanks for it, because then God can open the door to bring in my blessings. So anyway, I hope in your second half, you'll see everything that happens in life, the seemingly positive and the seemingly negative, as all great gifts, and that this will help you have a fabulous second half. Take care. See you next time.